Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel, JuJu's Journey. Today is April the 7th. It's a Tuesday. And this is just my night of feeling like I want to chit chat. It's 10:22 p.m. I'm tired, which is a good thing because I haven't been sleeping good. But we've had Easter. That went really good. A lot of things have gone. It's been a crazy year. I will have to say that. If you're new here, I'm JuJu. I'm a widow. This is my birthday month. I'm going to turn 58. I let my hair dry by itself today. My granddaughter's on spring break, so nobody's on a schedule. I don't live with my daughter, but she does live next door. I don't know. This is kind of like my journaling journey on grief and how to survive and how to do all the things. But I am so excited because I'm very stressed out right now in life. I am so stressed out. And it is affecting me. And it's something that it's like how it's stressful because I have to make some decisions. But it's not so, I should not be as stressed about this as I am. I'm making myself more stressed than I should be. And I've got to stop. I've got to stop doing that. So everything's going to work out. So I should just calm down and not be all silly. Something about people when they have ADD, when something happens, they get kind of fixated on it. And I do that. Like, literally, I typed all of these pages of notes today, doing a timeline so I can be prepared. Have gone through mountains of paperwork. That's not all of it. Mountains of paperwork. And it's okay. Like, it makes me, at least I understand things a lot better. I do have a timeline. That's good. I guess the reason I do that is so I don't miss anything that's going to, when things come up, if somebody asks me a question, I'll be more familiar with everything. So I guess it's my way of really studying, So there you go. It's just that's my stress. All of that you just saw is my stress right now. And it's taken my focus away from the things that are supposed to bring me joy. And that's what this channel is about, me finding joy again after my husband died, dealing with the grief, finding a new way of life, living on a low income, and still trying to survive. Just everything, And I do find joy. Am I still grieving? Yes, because part of what I'm dealing with, I feel like I'm doing it for my husband, if that makes sense. And so once I get that behind me, then that will be one more thing checked off that I can finally start moving forward. But what I'm talking about deals, if it's handled correctly, it's for my whole family, basically, But anyway, we've had, since January hit, January, I was going to come out full force, revamp my eBay shop and focus on it. I haven't listed one thing except ACEOs, which I, by the way, love. I haven't painted any since before my daughter's wedding. Actually, I haven't painted any since 2 weeks before my daughter's wedding. The week before my daughter's wedding was stressful. Not because of her wedding, stressful because of all this stuff that I just showed you. And it's been stressful since, and I'm sure it's wearing on me. I can't sleep. I wake up in the middle. I've got to just like let it go, because I've got people that are working on it that should do their job, and I think they are. So I just need to let it go. But with that being said, let's get back to the positive. Let me tell you, 2 weeks ago, we went out to the country to ride the side-by-side. And my son has, anyway, we had 2 of them, and we're fortunate enough to have generational family land out in the country. And it's tons of acreage. You know, altogether it's probably like 600 and some odd acres that we can just go put around on, with trails and things like that. And so you have a really good time. Well, my husband's great aunt, she was 93 when she passed away, has a home there. And her grandson, because they used to be missionaries in France, and so one of her daughters got married and stayed there. So I don't know if this family, if they are her great grandson or if it was her grandson. But he has, over the years, he and his family have become Americans. Or they're in the process. I mean, it took them a while to get the stay. You know how you have to go through whatever process. They've done all that. So now they live here. Well, they had a friend to come visit. And so one day, we call it the farm. So one day, a couple weeks ago, I was out at the farm. And I was speaking to my nephew. Well, I guess he's my nephew-in-law. He's married to my niece. And he said, don't be upset if you see someone coming out of the woods, like this big, tall man. That's so-and-so, and he's from France, and he's been hiking and stuff through the woods. And I'm like, I'm so glad you told me. Because if you're in the middle of the farm, you're like 1 mile in, you know, strangers don't disappear from the woods. So that particular day, nobody appeared from the woods. And my son lives joining the farm. So you go through a wooden trail with our side-by-sides. When I say wooden trail, through the woods on a trail. Like you leave his backyard and go through these woods. And then you come, just a whole adventure in itself. Well, we had ridden those side-by-sides, and then we were back at my son's house, and we were all hanging out on his deck. And we were watching the children, and all of a sudden somebody said, "Who is that?" Well, in the back of his yard, I mean, it's not close to you, the entrance to the woods. In that opening, there was this man, they said, with a bike helmet on a scooter. Like an electric e-bike, I guess. But when someone comes driving through the woods on a trail with a bike helmet on an electric scooter, and then when he got there, I guess he was in shock, he turned around and he took off. Well, you know, my son went on his, anyway, he jumped on the side-by-side and went to figure out who it was. And the next thing I know, here comes my son and this man on his scooter with his bike helmet on. And he stands on the deck, and my son offers him ice cream, like an ice cream bar, you know, like a popsicle, and some water. And he's like, yes. Well, he speaks English, but very little. He's from France. And he still had on his bicycle helmet, and he stood there for like 30 minutes, and he ate 2 ice creams. And and then he left. And I'm like, how many times do you think you're going to be sitting on a deck and a Frenchman comes popping out of the woods? A Frenchman comes popping out of the woods on an e-bike, gets startled, your son tracks him down, and then he comes. He doesn't know us from Adam. Like, he has no clue who we are. Never met him, never met my son, never met anybody. And at that particular moment, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, I think 6, 7 grown-ups and 3 children. And he just walks up into a stranger's yard and eats some ice cream and gets some water, gets on his little motorized e-bike with his helmet on, and goes right back into the woods. I would say, and traveled like, well, it wouldn't be 200 acres, but traveled through 200 acres in a straight line. Probably traveled for about a mile to get back to his house. In the woods, on dirt roads, some bumpy fields, just with his e-bike. I said, you can't make this up. And I said, and then he's going to go home to France and say, yes, I was just riding my e-bike through the woods, and I popped out and met these nice Americans who invited me on their deck to eat ice cream. That's so funny, y'all. You can't make it up. So that's something that was funny that happened 2 weeks ago. Let me think of another funny. Okay, so I'm sitting here at my house. And my little dog, Gabby, is not, she's just a little, actually she's kind of yellow right now because of the pollen. She has been spending so much more time outside. And I have a golden retriever named Bobo, and then I have a little white mutt, fluffy white dog that's only 10 pounds, and her tail goes up over her back. She's kind of fluffy or scraggly. And we've had neighbors to move in right smack behind me. And Bobo has never been a barker. He's just a little lover boy. He will bark, but he has been running to the back of my fence and just barking, barking, barking. And at the back of my lot, there's a fence. I have a fence. And then there's like a dirt road, like a back alley that separates us from my neighbors that live right behind me. And they have this brick fence. And then they have a gate that opens to let the car in. And so you can only see through the gate because it's an iron gate. And my big dog, Bobo's been running back to that area where that gate is and just barking, barking. And I have heard another dog bark. And then Gabby acts like she's a big dog. And she comes running out there. She's been barking more than she's ever barked. And when I go out of my back door, I can't really see where they're barking. So the other day, they went back there and they were raising Cain. And so I walked to see what they were looking at or barking. And I knew the neighbors were moving in. They had been moving in for, I think they've been there about 2 weeks now. And I'm like, oh, my dogs are going to drive them crazy. But I can hear that they're barking at a dog. I can hear the other dog barking back. Both of them, actually. I couldn't tell. It was multiple dogs besides mine. So I go back there and guess what they're barking at. They are barking at, my neighbors have a golden retriever and a little white dog that's about 10 pounds, scraggly, and her tail goes over her back. It's like they're barking at a mirror. And I'm like, you can't make that up either. Like, what are the coincidences that my neighbors have the same exact dogs that I have? Beautiful golden retrievers, though. I bet they would love to play together. Because my dog loves to play, and he's young. He's only 2 years old. And so, yeah. Okay, what's another funny thing that happened? Oh, tonight. Just tonight. So my daughter lives next door, and her front yard, her driveway goes from one road, and you can drive in front of her house, drive into her driveway, and then it goes all the way back to another road. So you can enter her house from two different roads. But if you were to put her address, like her street address in, of course it's going to go to the front, And so I'm outside. We had eaten dinner, and I went outside to sit, and I was waiting on my daughter and her son-in-law to come out. We usually sit and chit-chat for a little bit. And I was out there by myself. My son-in-law just walked in, and my daughter was doing something with the grandson that's 1.5 years old. And I heard this car, like you could hear it pulling into the back driveway. But a lot of times cars will come and pull in and back up and go the other direction because their back driveway is on a sharp curve. And I think people just get confused where they're going, and so they'll use her yard as a turnaround. But so hearing the car pull in didn't really startle me. And it's 9 o'clock when this happens. And 9 o'clock at night. And so I should have said that. It made me yawn. Because now it's 10:39. The car pulls in. And it just keeps on coming. And then I'm noticing this stopping behind my son-in-law's truck. I can't really see the car. I can see the headlights. I can see a little bit of the car. So I said, that's not normal. So I get up and I take off running inside her house and said, who's at your house? Who's at your house? Well, my son-in-law goes out there, and at this time now the car has pulled all the way through and is going there in the front yard in the driveway, because it's really one long driveway. And so they're getting out of their car. And it's pitch black. I mean, no front lights are on, like front porch lights, nothing. It's 9 o'clock at night. And it's this girl. She appeared to be probably in her late 20s, early 30s. And she gets out the car and she's like, hey, I'm sorry I startled y'all. Is this... And she gave the address. And my son-in-law's like, why are you asking? And she says, because I'm delivering packages. And she was in her normal car, not a delivery car. And then my son-in-law asked her another question, and she told us who she was delivering for. And she said, I've been delivering all day long, and GPS took me, I made a delivery on your road, and then it took me right past your house all the way to the end, and then made me go all the way around the block, and then sent me back through your driveway. And I'm so sorry if I scared you. I saw her get up and run inside. Oh, and then she said she had 6 more packages, and then she told us where she was from, 2 hours away. In Columbia, South Carolina. It takes 2 hours to get there. And it was 9 o'clock at night. She had 6 more packages. GPS is sending her through people's backyards. Life is hard. So that was funny. That was kind of funny. And then, of course, I was working today, so I had to get done when I was working out. When my daughter called and told me that, did you hear at 7 o'clock, we're going, if they don't do such and such, we're going to wipe Iran off the face of the earth, or Iraq, whichever one we're fighting. I have not kept up with any of that, and you don't know me. I would say for 6 or 7 or 8 years, I was into it. Not on the news, but all the alternative stuff. I could tell you tons of things. Not like it, I would guess it would be like a conspiracy theory, but it's really not. Everything has actually come true. Like I saw all the Epstein photos 8 years ago. Like really. I'm not even exaggerating. You know, I'm just trusting the plan. But since my husband died, I haven't been able to focus or get back into it. But no, that was both of our obsessions for a long time. And, but anyway, when my daughter said, he's going to wipe them off the face of the earth and we're going to know by, I think it was 7 o'clock. And I'm just typing and saying, I can't type and talk. I've got to go through all these numbers and da-da-da-da-da. And I finally said to her, he said 100,000. I mean, how many times has he said it? I mean, and I'm not pro-Trump or anti-Trump. I want to believe there's a plan, trust the plan. So, I mean, you've got to believe in something, but ultimately, God is who I trust. So, anyway, I didn't get excited because I said he said he would never tell anybody what he's planning on doing in a military movement. I mean, how many times do you have to tell somebody, I will never announce what I'm going to do? He said, you don't remember, I mean, like if you watched anything, he would say, he would mock the other people. At Tuesday at 5 o'clock, we are going to do this if you don't do that. And he's like, he would never do that. How stupid could you be? So I knew from the get-go that we weren't going to do anything. And I knew it was just a tactic, I mean, so anyway, of course we ate dinner and she's like, no, we didn't do anything. And I'm like, I didn't think we would. Because I told her today when she called, I said, I can't focus on that. I'm focusing on this. No, but I would hope that we would not wipe somebody off the face of the earth. I don't know. But I don't even know what's going on, honestly. I could not tell you current events right now. I mean, I don't even know if they found that Guilford woman yet. Have they? That was weird. Think about it. I think I could go and I probably could have found her. Honestly, I think I could. But I went and had my taxes filed. I'm actually going to get a small refund. I think it's going to be close to $1,000. So I can't wait to figure out where I'm going to stuff that money. It's going to have to go to something to relieve my mind of stress. Possibly go into a high sinking fund. I wish I could go ahead and start fully funding. Maybe I should put half of it that way and the other half towards, I'm already 1 month ahead. Just by doing my income, I do have some savings and stuff. And I do get paid once a month by not working, on retirement stuff. So, I mean, it's not like I'm destitute, but I'm scared because things can happen. And, my little financial advisor said, no, you can't have a raise. He told me I couldn't have a raise. So I'm living without my raise, which is tough. because I lost a lot of money coming in monthly when I say it's only because I'm here by myself. Um, and my husband and I were one, and I lost his so he was on Social Security. He had only been on it for a short amount of time. He waited till whatever the oldest you should wait before you started drawing it. And that's what my financial advisor wants me to do too. I'm like, but he only lived like a year and a half. Like he didn't get it but a year and a half. I don't even know if it was a year and a whole half. Anyway, we lost that. And so we were getting Social Security and getting a check from each month from, I guess, retirement or whatever you call it. And so now I'm just getting a little more than what we were getting on retirement, but it's thousands. Not when I say thousands, it's a couple of thousands. I don't know if it's like $3,000. I don't know how much we were getting each month, but it was the same thing as if he were still working. So I lost a lot of money coming in every month. I can still make ends meet, but had I not been able to pay off my house in December, oh, it's tough. And you're talking really tough. Like my little cash wallet, which, what I don't spend, I put in those savings challenges. But no, my cash wallet, it would only have like $20 for JuJu, where I'm now doing $50 because I paid off my house. Everything would have been a lot lower. Like groceries, instead of being $50 a week, I would have had it at $40. Eating out, I'm going by what I had to do last year. I mean, it started out strong, but I had a little bit of money. I had a little cushion, so I invested hard in my envelopes at the beginning of the year. And then I started living on my true $3,000 a month budget. And whenever I started doing it, it was tough. But I was able to get 1 month ahead. And I don't know if I did 1 whole month ahead. I want to get 6 to 9 months. And I want this outside of what I do with my financial advisor. I want this for myself. And I also want to have $20,000 in savings. And I'm talking about doing this off of my $3,000 a month or side money. And I have not been really making side money. I want $20,000 in a savings account. I want 3 to 6 months of living expenses. And you can look at that 2 ways. I can break down, honestly, how just my bills, like my bills and my cash wallet, is probably how I should break that down and not worry about all of my envelopes, right? But those envelopes, some of them are like for car taxes for next year. So I don't know how I should do it. Right now I'm doing it to be a month ahead is my income coming in. So that's how I think I should do it. That's what my plan is anyway. So I think I am going to take my tax income money when it gets here and probably start, because I have a binder for month ahead, and I think I might just start putting money in it and just have, maybe I need to write what my goal is for each envelope. You know, that's what I probably need to do. Just so at the end of it, it's got $3,000 in it, and then I'll be happy, you know, be very happy. But those are goals. It's going to take me years to get there unless I turn everything around. I have a new tax person. I didn't go to H&R Block. They charged me $450 last year. And this person is a private person who's been doing people's taxes for years. And I know her, and I think it's going to be good because it's going to be more personable. And we were just talking about my eBay because, of course, I had to claim what I sold last year. And we were talking about how good I used to really do on eBay and how much you can make. And she's like, yes. So I think we're going to go ahead and make it more legal. Not legal, but more of a business. I think I'm going to get my tax ID number for JuJu because my eBay store is called JuJu's. And anything I do, I can do it under JuJu's. Like if I decide to start selling on Etsy again, or if I decide to get another vendor booth, you know, just all these things can be like JuJu's. And so I think that's what, but I've turned my whole upstairs is my, and y'all know that if you've watched my videos. My upstairs is my big, I call it my studio, but I haven't really done anything. I did turn upstairs into a craft room. I'm not finished. I haven't brought all my stuff up here. I don't want to bring it all up until I paint. But then I decided I wasn't going to paint until I saved up enough money to paint. Because if I start taking some of the money that I've saved, you know, from last year, then that's kind of like defeating the purpose, right? I don't know. It's more entertaining to make it a game, you know. It makes me accountable instead of just swiping my card and possibly chipping away at something, you know, that I worked hard to save for last year. You know, I just need to keep what I did last year where it is and save up again this year, you know. Kind of like mark the slate clean each year is the way I look at it. But all I have to do is take the measurements, the square footage of upstairs, and I'm going to claim that. And then a portion of my electric bill and my water bill, I have to keep track of that. And yeah, like, I'm in. Like, I can, truly, I can truly say that, that'll be exciting. That should make me want to start, posting. If I could, once I get started and once I start hearing my phone go ka-ching, ka-ching again, then it makes me excited. And I've lost my drive. I started out strong in January, and then I just lost my drive. I went back down in a slump. So far down. I'm sad. I'm stressed. I've got to do something to get my focus back and be happy. But I've had lots of happy times. Easter was wonderful. We had Easter at my son's and we did side-by-sides again and ate a wonderful meal. And my daughter-in-law had 2 gigantic tables pushed together, you know, the kind that the legs fold up. And beautiful little tablecloth And it was under they have a carport and the deck's attached, and all the kids, they've got my grandson who's not quite 2, and then we have my other grandson that's 1.5, and then my granddaughter who's 6. But the thing that you blow up and slide, like the bouncy house and all of that was blown up. The water table. She's got the little roller coaster the kids get on and roll down. They have the outdoor swing set, wooden swing set stuff. Sandbox, everything you can imagine, it was right there. So the kids had a great time. We thought it was going to rain, but it didn't. So, and it wasn't humid. And so the temperature was good. It wasn't too hot. And then after we ate, she had fresh flowers on the table. It was beautiful. It looked like it looked like a little cottage. It is like a little cottage house anyway, but it was beautiful. And we went and rode the side-by-sides, and we probably rode for over an hour. But the guys rode for about 2 hours. They went a lot of different places. And it was fun. We had the only child that was missing was my daughter. Well, she's my stepdaughter, but they're like my daughters. They've been mine since they were going into 1st and 2nd grade. And now they're both in their 40s, so they're mine. Anyway, my daughter that lives in Maine, and my grandson in Maine, and her husband, of course, they didn't make it. Not of course, but they didn't come for Easter. And so we had all 4 of my children and all of their spouses and all of my grandchildren, except, like I said, the ones that live in Maine. But I spoke to them too. So we had a great day. It was fun. Everybody had a good time. No stress at all. And it was good. And I haven't been sleeping. So I'm going to go to sleep. It's 10:59, 11 p.m. It just turned 11 right now while I'm speaking. And so I really came upstairs to get on my jammies and so I could go get in my bed, but I decided to pop on and say hello. I'm kind of delirious. My heart rate was up when I got home because I didn't know who was coming into my daughter's yard. And she was funny because she's the one that would have overreacted. But she said she's never seen me run in the house like that, saying, "Who's in your yard? Somebody's in your yard. You better find out who it is." And anyway, we decided that the reason, because she says I'm more laid back, like, "Hey, can I help you?" Oh, another weird thing that happened. Y'all, this is so bad. So bad. So, let me tell you. And then I'm out. It was Valentine's. Probably 2 days before Valentine's Day. So that would be like February 12th, right? My granddaughter's in kindergarten, and for some reason, they let you know last minute what you're supposed to plan for, right? So we were kind of under the impression that they must be making homemade Valentines, because my daughter had not gotten the Valentine's list yet. You know, my granddaughter would be like writing other kids' names on the Valentines and things like that. But anyway, that list finally came home, and so we knew what now she had to make sure she had enough Valentines for everyone. So we went to Walmart. And as we're going in, we're walking through the parking lot, and we're probably 10 cars back from the actual building. Well, there was this guy walking on the sidewalk, He was wide and he was short. He had on a black shirt with big, bold letters on it. And his hair looked a lot like mine does right now, except it was probably more like this. This. I don't know. It was the guy, right? And I don't know, somebody tooted the horn. Maybe he walked out in front of a car. I have no idea, because at this, when we note, after the horn tooted and we heard him yell, "Blank you," and he was older. When I say older, I'm 50, I'm almost 58. I would imagine this guy was in his 60s, And so when we looked, because that startled us, because, you normally don't hear that in the Walmart parking lot walking into the building. And we had the 6-year-old and we had the 1.5-year-old. And it really bothered me, because you should be able to take your children to Walmart and not hear that. I think that's disorderly conduct. Regardless, I say bad words, but you don't need to go yell that in a parking lot. I'm not going to do that in front of my granddaughter. Nobody else should be doing it either. Freedom of speech doesn't mean you have to be an idiot. So, as we're walking, he was already ahead of us into Walmart. Oh, and his shirt with big, bold letters. I'm talking about big, bold letters. Like, this would be, it was blank you in white, bold letters. So it'd be the F, the U, and the C and the K. And then it was like huge, white on a black t-shirt. And when I walked in, I don't know if your Walmarts are set up like this, but when you walk in and you're past where now you're going in front of the cashiers, you're in the front of the store. But usually where the checkout starts, they have like this hot box that they put like a bag of the popcorn chicken or whatever, just so if you were standing in line or going to get in line, oh my goodness, I'm going to grab a rotisserie chicken, or I'm going to grab a bag of popcorn chicken. He was looking at that chicken section, and we were going to have to go right by him. And I have a mouth on me. So as we were going, I already told my daughter, I said, if I see him, I'm going to say something. Of course, I'm not going to really say anything to him. But as we were walking by, I said, and my granddaughter was ahead of me. She was already past the shirt. And I was like, oh my goodness, don't look at that shirt. I can't believe people like that would have shirts like that when you have children that can read. That's horrible. But I'm walking as I'm saying it. I doubt that he heard me. But I was like, oh gosh, don't read that shirt. That's horrible. Oh, I can't believe people wear things like that out in public. And I was just walking, Well, this was last week. Last week, this guy in my hometown, somebody is under investigation or getting arrested for their elderly dad, which would have, been this guy's dad if he was in his 60s. His dad was probably 90s. Old man was found dismembered in a metal, like a barrel. Guess who it was? The guy that we saw at Walmart. Same guy, undeniable. There's not two of this guy in my area. There's no two like him. His dad had been missing since December. And I guess somebody did a well check, because he's usually outside working, and his son lived with him. He said he died of natural causes, and he didn't he wanted to still receive his Social Security. He didn't want the Social Security checks to end. So he dismembered him and put him in a barrel instead of having him, you know. But anyway, he didn't get out on bond. He's still in jail. And then all the comments under that said that he was always kind of loopy his whole life. And that's why he still lived with his dad. But, so basically, the day that we saw him, he had already dismembered his dad and put him in a barrel. They said that he lied to law enforcement too, or I don't know what you call that, hindered an investigation by giving false information. So I assume that when police came over earlier to ask anything about his dad, he probably said, oh, he's out of town, or he went so-and-so, he won't be back until later. I'll tell him to give you a call. Yeah, right. He was in a barrel, dismembered, so he could fit his dad in the barrel. Sick people, guys. Sick people. Yeah, that was kind of weird, too. So, the only other thing that was weirder, it was a couple of years ago, I was pulling out of, we were thrifting, and I was pulling out of the Habitat for Humanity, and I was going to turn right on a little road. Like, it wasn't a busy road. So if I'm going to turn right, I really have to focus to what's coming on my left, right? Because I'm pulling out right. Like, nobody's going to be in my lane heading towards me. So I'm looking, you know, I'm looking to see if anything's coming. And I go to take my right-hand turn. And coming in the opposite lane that I would have pulled out into was a man on a unicycle, just riding his unicycle on the wrong side of the road, coming straight towards where I'm about to pull out. And I said, oh my gosh, there's a man on a unicycle. No, oh my gosh, we almost ran over a man on a unicycle. And I remember telling my girls, we were all laughing, because I had both of my daughters with me. How many times in your life do you think you're going to sit there while you're driving and say, oh my gosh, I almost ran over a man riding a unicycle? Never. And never in your life are you ever going to say, a French man came popping out of the woods riding an electric e-bike with his bicycle helmet on, and he stayed and ate 2 ice creams, 2, and left with a bottle of water. I can guarantee you those are 2 things that, oh, now I've got 3. You are never going to be mad at a man because he uses the word, he says, screams F-U, and is wearing it on the front of his shirt, and you decide to kind of make some gesture as you're walking by, like make some words that if he can hear you, knows that you're not happy with the wording on his shirt because you have a 6-year-old that can read, you know? And then find out that he dismembered his dad and put him in a barrel, and he had kept him there. At that moment, it was February 14th, so his dad's been missing since December. So at least 2 months. He's been living with his dismembered dad in a barrel. So those are 3 things that I bet. I've got another one I bet you've never done either. I've thrown up at the White House. I'll tell you about that later. But I bet you can't say you've done that either. So if you've done any of these 4 things that I've just named, thrown up in the White House in Washington, D.C., thrown up, and I wasn't in a normal bathroom. I was doing a private tour, and this was, you know, not the normal bathroom. I mean, this was the bathroom that if you're invited there for a ball, that you would use this bathroom. Yeah, I threw up. I was hungover. Really hungover. I tried not to. I was splashing water on my face going, oh, do not throw up in the White House. You cannot throw up in the White House. But I did. I was only like 22, 21. I was young. I was cute, though. I was a cute 21-year-old. But, yeah, I did. I was there for a nice wedding. They drink in Washington, D.C., guys. Just let me tell you. They drink. They drink all day long. And I wasn't used to that. Not like drinking, like if you were out by a cookout drinking. They don't drink like that. They just steadily drink all day long. Like, just casually, like, start out your morning with a Bloody Mary and then brunch with mimosas and then maybe a beer at lunch. Then maybe, you know, a margarita mid-afternoon. And then maybe a hard, stiff drink at night. I mean, they're gradually drinking all day long. All day long. I wouldn't say everybody, but I would say the majority of the population is like, it's just no big deal. It's not like you're on vacation when you're doing it. This is just what you do, you know? So yeah, I threw up in the White House, and I know you can't say you've done that either. But I have. So let me know something that you bet people have not ever done or seen. And comment on anything. Just comment. And y'all, I am almost up to 70 subscribers. So please hit subscribe and give me a thumbs up and comment. And I'll talk to you later.